Jack here, and today we're going to do a little bit about back kick because some of you have been asking for this. So what we're going to do and what we're going to touch on today is the very, very basic form and the very, very basic technique of how to do a back kick. Alright, there is obviously bunkai applications for back kick, there's kumite applications, there's balance, strength, all sorts of different ways that you can obviously practice it and get better at it. But like I said, we're going to go and just practice the very, very basic form and make sure that you fully understand how it works, how the body mechanics need to be, and how your body position needs to be, so that you can perform the back kick effectively. Right. So first thing we're going to start off with, I've got a square here on the floor, which I'm going to put my left foot in that one. Now I'm going to go into sort of a half stance like this. And if you can see, I've got a square. Obviously my mat's here. You might want to draw your square out. Make sure it's big enough. This is a cubic square here, so make sure it's big enough so you can do the kick and the step effectively. Alright, so I'm going to step forwards like this, and I'm still in my half stance. Alright, when I step across, it's very important that you don't come back like this. You need to go straight across the line like this. Alright, so imagine there is a mirror from this foot, alright, and I'm going to completely reflect my foot position so I can actually turn completely around and I'm still in a half stance. Alright, things to note, alright, when you do this one and you step across, you will need to bend your back leg, alright? It's pretty hard to do it with a straight leg. As you can see, my range of motion, my legs are not long enough, they just don't reach there. So you do need to bend this leg here, like so, and if you've been practicing some of our balance stuff, alright, this will obviously help with that in your strength in your leg, alright? So, when I step across here, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use my finger here to point, to show you the direction of my hips. Alright, now, if I turn my shoulders first, my hip will follow, alright? If I turn my heels outwards to turn, my hip, when I do these two ones, it doesn't move as much, alright? What I want to do is I want to move my hip first, there, like so, and the rest will follow when I do my back kick, alright? Or when I do my turn at least, alright? So, be mindful of that. That's what you really want to do. You really want to make sure that you've got your step across, which is, again, in the right position. So when you do turn, you're going to be in a half stance again. And also when you step, have this just as an aid, alright? Just work on doing that there. So when you want to do this fast, you snap the hip round, you're in a half stance, and you're actually set up properly to do the kick properly and perform the mechanics of the back kick correctly. Alright? So that's your turning. Alright, now that's obviously very important. You can do this in 90-degree turns just to get used to the movement of the hip. Like so, alright. Again, keeping that foot there, that foot doesn't move, it just turns, alright? And then you can go straight into the 180 turns, which is obviously how we do the turning back kick, alright? Now, the back kick itself is pretty easy in the fact that if you can do a front kick position, you're halfway there, alright? That is how you should start a back kick, alright? As you can see, my heel is pretty close to my knee, my posture's up nice and straight. I'm working on obviously these hip muscles and these leg muscles. Alright, I'm going to use Bob here as a bit of balance. Now I'm going to keep these toes completely pulled up as tight as I can, and I'm just going to kick down there and completely straighten my leg and lock my leg out. Alright, using the heel as my point of impact. Alright, now locking this leg out like that is probably a very crucial factor of doing your back kick correctly, because the kinetic energy and the power that you generate, it only goes in straight lines. So you want to make sure that that is travelling straight down your leg and coming out through your heel, where obviously you're going to kick somebody. Hey? Alright, to practice the actual, to put it all together is quite difficult, but what we're going to do, we're going to use a wall, a chair, a wardrobe, anything, your buddy, your partner, and you're going to hold both shoulders. You're going to come down here and you're going to lower your centre of gravity, and you're just going to practice this. Now, as you can see, in the end product, there is a straight line between my leg, my hip, and my back, all going up like this. A little bit like our push-ups, alright? We're in this sort of position, and we're just going to practice this, like that, alright? Locking your leg out each time, you'll feel that your glutes here are nice and tight, quads and hamstrings are all working nice, alright? And you're just going to practice locking that leg out and using the point of impact for your kick. When you've got a little bit better at that, you can stand up. Again, here, kicking out. Now, the thing that you'll find is your height will be, it won't be as high. Alright, when you're down here, you're leaning over and you can probably get a little bit higher because that's how we should be when we kick, alright? This standing leg, if I go here like this, and I create a T shape, that is pretty ideal to transfer the kinetic energy and the power through there, but we don't want to do that when we actually kick. We'd rather be stood up and use our leg muscles and our core muscles to get that kick on target. So, with your partner, here, nice low centre of gravity, and practice this one first. Obviously do that on both legs. When you get a little bit better at that, you want to be stood up, practicing this, kicking out and getting it as high as you can, still focusing on the technique of the heel, straight leg, and obviously locking it out. When you feel nice and comfortable with both of those, maybe just have a couple of fingertips on there and come up, and you want to incorporate the fact that when you kick out, your body will naturally want to lean forwards. Alright, you will still be in this position, but you can come up and you can control that kick. Alright, so when you're here, kicking out like so. Alright, once you've done this quite a few times and you feel confident with it, just get rid of your partner, get rid of your support. Alright. And back down again. Again, sometimes go back to lowering your centre of gravity, working on that leg there, and the strength and the balance within the kick. Like so. I'll just do it here so you can see. Alright. Front kick position, toes nice and pulled up, heel next to my opposite knee, and these go straight back. Looking, obviously locking my leg out, kicking with the heel. Now, a big common problem with the back kick is when we want to put the turn in and we want to look where we're kicking, is that this happens, and my leg doesn't come out straight. All right, so you still go back to this, go back to using your partner. Come up to this position, try and keep your shoulders facing it in this direction, and just use your peripheral vision. There, try and focus more on your posture. Locking your leg out and bringing it back. Alright, now don't worry too much about height yet, alright, because if you can't do it correctly, there's no point in doing it at all. Alright, so make sure that your leg is out, locked, toes pulled back, using that heel, and then we can work on the height. And you go a little bit lower, things like that, alright, so you've got to build on this stuff and make sure that you're doing the fundamental bits correctly before you want to build up the height and the speed and the power. Alright, when you're going to put it together, make sure that you have a good point of contact. Alright, you've got enough space for a start, you don't want to kick the cat or anything. Alright, step forwards, step across, again lowering your centre of gravity. Think about your hip, snap that round. So we're in a good position to start your kick. come up, and just kick down there. So we're locking out this leg, and we're using the kinetic energy to power down through there, and back up again, stepping forwards, cross, using the hip, up, kicking out. Remember to look over your shoulder, and then you've got a whole turning back kick there. All right. Now, like I said, you can do this bit first. You can focus just on your stepping. All right. You can do this bit second. It doesn't matter which way you do it. All right. Obviously, when you put it together, you're going to want a straight leg, kicking with the heel. All right. Start low, then build up on your height and your power, and that's your standard back kick. That's when you're in class and you're practicing this. All right. When you're coming into things like kumite, depending on how far away your opponent is, you might want to step back to create the space for your leg. All right. If he's really far away, you might want to step forwards to create the space for your leg. All right. So that is something where you have to judge. All right. But you have to first have the ability and the strength within your muscles to do this properly. All right. Before you start going into obviously a very kumite is like, it doesn't have much, it's got form, but obviously it's free flowing, isn't it? All right, so there's not a lot of time for your body and your brain to think, how do I get that there, ready, and get it correctly and on target. All right, so you have to focus on all these little bits first before you can obviously start implementing this into your kumite. I really hope that helped, guys. Make sure you practice this stuff because it's a very, very difficult kick. And in conjunction with all the other stuff that we've done, all right, this actually relates to your balance, your leg strength, your core strength, your actual general technique of all these other foot positions and stuff. So this is a very, very difficult one. I really recommend you practice it like this because it will get you better. Hopefully that was good enough for you guys, and I'll see you soon.